Indeed, quite an interesting conversation right there about how you can communicate in the correct fashion. Now, just before we proceed, just remind you about our Twitter poll question. And today we are asking, do you think women are disadvantaged when it comes to accessing online technology? Do you think women are disadvantaged when it comes to accessing online technology? This is, of course, a yes or no question. You can reach out to us. The hashtag is KTN Business Today. You can tweet me directly at Peter Akabo. Reach out to us on at KTN News. We will, of course, sample that conversation as the bulletin does go on. Now, why are we asking this question? Well, in the year 2013, an Intel commissioned study on women and the web began making waves right across the world. It noted that while the internet can be a great equalizer, access to it definitely is not equally distributed. Notably, the report also said that the internet access for both men and women in North America is nearly 5 times that of Africa. Even more disturbing was the finding that, on average, nearly 25% fewer women than men are online in developing countries. This represents over 200 million fewer women more than men online. In sub-Saharan Africa, the size of the gap is 43 to 45%, the largest across all regions in the study. Further, the study found that 1 in 5 women in India and Egypt believes that the internet is not appropriate for them. This is what necessitated the development of Intel's She Will Connect program to reduce the internet gender gap around the world through an innovative combination of digital literacy training, an online peer network, and gender-relevant content. The goal is to reach 5 million young women in Africa. After a successful stint in Nairobi, the program has seen a need to reach more women right across the counties in Kenya. And to talk to us more about that right here in studio, we have Lavinia Mudhoni. She is in charge of marketing and communication at Intel in East Africa. Karibu sana.
Asante.
Now, what essentially informed this study in the first place? The fact that there does seem to be a gender gap between the access men and women have in terms of information technology.
So, as you rightfully put it, there is an existing internet gender gap, but if you think about it, we actually don't know that it exists. When you talk about it, people say, no, there can't be a gender gap because everyone has access to the internet. Everyone has access to devices that connect to the internet. There's no discrimination when you're going to buy a device. But the reality is that when the research was done, we were also shocked by the statistics that, you know, there is a gap and that women are not going online as they should. And some of the reasons that were actually identified for that were that, first of all, it's the lack of familiarity and confidence in using technology. Cultural norms where, think about it, when you want to buy a computer, the first thing you do is call your guy, my PC guy. He knows about my computer. He'll tell me where to buy the computer. No one says, let me call my girl, you know? So there's that perception that men are better in technology than women. And then the other thing, of course, is affordability. You know, few women, there's still that gap in terms of affording to connect to the internet and also affording the devices to connect to the internet. And the last thing is basically understanding the relevance of the internet to you as an individual, because connecting to the internet is one thing, but finding relevance and staying online is yet another thing. So we found that women were not connecting online because they didn't understand the importance or the benefits of the internet to them.
Let's just break down what you've said. First off, the fact that it seems that naturally, culturally, men seem more to be predisposed towards technology. Well, some might contend that that is not just a perception, but the reality. In what you're trying to do through this program, have you found that the results of, well, reaching out to women and enabling them interact with this technology has exactly the same results that it would have to men?
Absolutely. So what has happened
is that... Or maybe even better.
Even better, actually, if I might say. You know, when you empower a woman, you empower a family, you empower the children, you actually empower the village. So what we found out is that when we train women, and we start from the basics of this is a mouse, this is a laptop, this is how you switch it on. When you start from those basics and take them through the technology to the point that they're looking at it and saying, this is not as hard as I thought. And then they embrace it. And then they start to understand how I can use it in my business. So as an example, we actually were in Narok last week, where our caravan, the Intel She Will Connect caravan, went to Narok town and trained about 100 women there. And one of the women said something very profound. She said that I used to use WhatsApp to talk, to tell the people on my phone book about my business.
Yes.
But now I've learned that there's the internet, there's Facebook. I can advertise my business online and reach people I did not know about. So what essentially we are seeing is that women are finding connecting, or this training really helping them to grow their business in ways that they didn't think was possible. Simple accounting, where you can use Excel to basically keep your books. We're also finding that they are gaining a lot of self-confidence in the sense that now they have information. So you're not relying on somebody to tell you what's going on. You can actually go online and Google and read about it. And with smartphones being available, now we are even giving them more reasons to connect to the internet.
Two things immediately come to mind. First, the issue of language. Quite a large number of people, especially women, will most likely want you to reach out in Swahili or in local languages that they can then relate to in terms of technology. This must be difficult.
So no, because what we are running is face-to-face trainings, and the face-to-face trainings really have a trainer that speaks the local language. So one of the things we've done, we know that as Intel, we're not able to roll out such a huge program. So we've partnered with various organizations that have the capabilities and the capacity to be able to roll out the training. So we provide them with a curriculum, and then then we support them in terms of going to the communities to mobilize the women. And then on top of that, what we make sure is that the trainers that are going into these communities are able to speak the language in that community. So it is not tied to the fact that you do not know how to speak English, therefore you can't come to the training. It means that if you can read and write, that is a basic, you can read and write, then you should be able to learn computer.
What sort of scalability are we talking about? Because the needs are profound out there.
Absolutely.
And a large population to be reached. What sort of partnerships are we looking at? What are we talking about essentially to reach out to the far reaches of this country?
Okay, so we have at the moment about 3 organizations that we are working with. One is called Joy War, which has over 200,000 women registered.
Table banking.
Yes, the organization that is very big on table banking. So Joy War is one of our partners. We've got also Global Peace Foundation. Global Peace Foundation is helping us reach schools and teachers. And then we also have another organization called ACWICT, which is the Africa Center for Women in ICT, that have training centers across the country. So, and then on top of that, what we have done is that we realize that women are busy. If you're going to tell somebody, come for training, you need to make it as easy as possible. Because first of all, they didn't even know they need this training. So you're creating relevance and making it accessible to them. So what we've done is we developed a caravan. So this is basically a 40-foot container that sits on a flatbed of a truck and goes round different counties training women. So it started off really by, we did some activations in Kenyatta Market, in Kawangware, in Donholm, and the women said, listen, if you want me to come, bring that training here. So what we've done is we've brought that container closer to the women so they can leave their businesses for 1 hour and then go in and do the training and still go back again. So it sits maybe for a whole week and then just do the training and empower the women in that community.
You talked about partnerships. So when the truck leaves and goes, who's then left on the ground to continue the training and build up the skills that we've just started to inculcate in just 1 week? Because the needs are really great.
So first of all, as I said, the training we're doing is basic digital literacy. It's first helping you to understand the relevance of connecting to the internet and some of the basic skills that you can use in your day-to-day lives. So one of the things we've found out is that a lot of people already have smartphones, but they're not making use of those smartphones in the way they should. So the training we are giving them is also something that they can take over and start using the features that are already available in the smartphones. So it's not to say that, we train you with laptops or, with computers and then we take them away. But the kind of training we are giving you is really empowering you. It is not to teach you on a specific software or a specific hardware. It is understanding how technology, you can use it as you in your day-to-day life.
Talk to us about the uptake. What sort of impact have you seen? Are there any examples that you can hold up to us and tell us this is some of what we've been able to achieve?
Absolutely. So We have quite a number. So I'll start off with one example. So in Embakasi Girls,
Yes.
We have Teacher Damaris. So
Yeah.
Teacher Damaris went through our program called Intel Teach, and then she did the Intel She Will Connect program. And then she took up that knowledge and went to teach her students in class how
Yeah.
to use technology to develop applications. So right now we have an actual case study where one of the students has developed an application that facilitates organ transplant in the country.
Yes.
And this is a featured case study. If you go online on YouTube,
Yes.
you can Google it and find it. Another interesting one is in Nigeria.
Yes.
So we had this girl called Jessica. Jessica used to work in a market, rather sell produce in the market with her mother.
Yes.
And then when she found out that Intershell Connect was running in the market, she decided, why don't I go and do the training there?
Yes.
And then she came back and learned that you can actually go on YouTube and learn different styles of plaiting hair. And she started a salon next to her mother's business at the market. So Jessica today, as we speak, is actually learning how to do makeup. She's learned how to do braiding. She's growing her business, and she's actually taking herself through the process of learning using the internet. So we're seeing some very impactful stories. Others is, as I said, like for example in Narok, a woman that has now learned how to use Facebook and to do advertisement. And
Yes.
she's already saying, this is actually a good thing that I'm able to utilize. Yeah.
Finally, from the economic perspective, what do you think these interventions are able to do for people on the ground in terms of creating livelihoods, improving how they work, improving how they interact with their customers in businesses and indeed in their own lives? What sort of impact do you think you're having?
Big impact, because what you're talking about here is, think of like a person running a cafe in the village.
Yes.
They make maybe some mandazis and tea the same way for the last maybe 5 years. When you show them that they can actually grow their recipes, it's very small, it's something very small, but when they grow their recipes, it means that they're diversifying their business. The other way, you can also look at it from maybe as somebody who's running a salon, they can start advertising their business. And then the other thing you can look at it even is from a healthcare point of view. A woman who's empowered will know that maybe when there's some certain symptoms start coming up, that it's time to go and see a doctor.
Yes.
We actually have a very interesting case study where this lady came for training, and she was talking about drinking a lot of water all the time. That is not a symptom that will take you to hospital.
Yeah.
But then just out of curiosity, she decided to Google and found out she has all the symptoms of diabetes. So what we're saying is, from an economic point of view, we start small. But what we'll start seeing is when people are empowered, when people are informed, then they become connected to opportunities, and we'll see eventually a growth even in the economic impact in those communities that we are touching.
Yes. So where is the caravan headed next? There might be somebody sitting at home right now watching, saying that is of interest. Where should they expect this to go next?
So we haven't finalized the route plan at the moment, so
Yes.
I cannot say with precision that it will be going to this place or this place. But what I would say is that people need to look out for the caravan in maybe in Moranga. We're heading to different places, and we will be updating that as we go along.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Lavinia Mudhoni from Intel East Africa. Of course, here to shed light on just what that company is doing to improve the uptake of technology, indeed for women, and not just for women, because when you empower a woman, you empower the rest of a society. We want now to proceed to a short break, but when we do come back, we will of course sample some of the views that you have put out to us over the internet, just to give us your take on this story. Do stay with us here on KTN Business Today. We'll be back shortly.